Morning, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Westies Angling. You're joining me on one of the hottest days of the year today at High Hayes Fishery near Chorley, and I'm going to be trialling a new technique. I'm going to be fishing what I'm going to call an over-under technique. Okay, and that's using the new Korum Floating Feeder and also a method feeder on the bottom. So my plan is, I'm getting all snarled up in this line here, the plan is I'm going to fish a method feeder on the bottom and then, like I said, the new Korum Floating Feeder over the top. And that's gonna give us our best chance of targeting fish both ways on this absolutely scorching hot day. So if the carp move up in the water, I'm hoping that we'll have it away on this technique. Now, if you haven't seen the video of me testing this out for the first time, I do recommend you watching that, because this video kind of follows on from that, and it also goes through the setup of this in a little bit more detail. But it's a very simple rig. I've got a float stop there, and then I've got a quick change bead, and I've got an 8-inch hook length, which I found worked absolutely perfectly, and the usual banjo feeder style setup that I use for High Hayes because it is really deep. Now, one of the things that we normally struggle with at High Hayes is the carp being up in the water, and you're not allowed to surface fish here. You're not allowed bread, you're not allowed like floating dog biscuits and stuff like that. So the carp can get away with absolute murder. You just can't target them unless you're really persistent with a pellet wangler. Then you're just not going to get those fish. But I'm hoping with this technique, using a slurry, sloppy ground bait in this floating feeder, they're going to come up in the water and we're going to nail them. I'm hoping that it's going to work. The only thing that's going against us today is it's absolutely dead still calm, which isn't great fishing at High Hayes. They like it with a little bit of a ripple on. I'm not making excuses already, folks, but it is going to be a scorcher. I've got some sun cream with me. I'm in direct sunlight here. I'm fishing with my dad today. He's already fishing. He's already had a couple of fish. I got here a touch late today, but I'll show you his fish right after this intro. Well, without further ado, folks, let's get into this over-under technique, and I'm hoping we're going to have some nice fish today. Let's see. Well, I've just got here, folks. My dad's already got a brace of fish, a lovely tench and a mirror. 6'6". Why did you weigh it? It'd have been £7 that if it had full tail. Well, it's not often that we come here and catch carp, is it, Dad?
No, it's not.
And you've had a couple there in quick succession. Now, I imagine that's probably going to die off, isn't it? As that water starts warming up, they'll probably go up in the water, but it's a great sign that they're feeding.
I felt that water.
Is it warm?
I feel like it's going to hot.
That's a lump, that, Dad. Similar sort of size to that other, maybe a little bit bigger. But it's just nice catching normal carp at High Hayes and not just F1s.
Yeah, it is actually.
Nailed that, isn't it? Good couple of first fish then, Dad. Okie dokie, folks, let's get some bait mixed up for today's session. So we're going to need to mix some ground bait to go in the old Korum Floating Feeder, and we're going to need to mix some pellets up to go on the old method feeder, because we're going to be doing a bit of an over-under technique today, as I've said to you. So we need to make sure we've got the right bait mixed up. Now, I've got my dad behind the camera there filming, so hopefully he manages to capture everything, otherwise he's getting sacked. Aren't you, Dad?
Yeah.
So we'll start with our ground bait, and I'm going to do something a little bit different with this. Because it's going in this Korum feeder, we need to mix it quite sloppy. I tried it a couple of different ways in the last session. I either found that mixing it really dry worked or mixing it really sloppy worked. But for today's session, I'm going to try it really sloppy. I'm not going to mix it both ways. Look, if I need to mix some dry later, if the sloppy consistency isn't working for me, I will do. But let's start off on the sloppy. So I'm going to start off with a load of ground bait there. I'm going to be using corn on the hook today as well, so I'm going to put some of this corn in, the juices from it anyway, and that's just going to give it a little bit more flavour. If you're wondering what ground bait I'm using the old Westies ground bait, and it's fruit punch flavour. Now this is an expander ground bait, which is going to bubble out the feeder perfectly. This is what we want. So I'm going to put a little bit more water in this, and we're going to make it a bit sloppy, and we'll try and get the right consistency. So let me get some more water. I'm going to keep adding until it gets slushy, if that's a word. I think that's not far off. What do you think, Dad?
No, it looks okay that, but it'll soon dry out today.
Yeah, so you probably have to keep adding water in. You literally want it a slurry. If it's too stiff, it ain't going to come out the feeder. You probably want it a bit like almost like a pancake batter consistency. I'm trying to think of something that you can assimilate it to a bit more. Now you can mix this with something if you don't want to do it with your hands like me. Getting the bait right, I think, is the main battle for this method. You want it to almost drip out the feeder, but I think that's probably not far off, Dad. I think I'd tried at that. That's probably perfect, that. I'm going to be absolutely covered in ground bait by the end of today. So for my method feeder pellets, I'm going to go for a 50-50 mix of the power per drop and also plum, which is a light and dark mix. So let's pour them in there. We'll need a few more, I think, and then I'll talk you through the hook baits that we're using. So you definitely don't have to. These videos are free to watch, but if you do want to try any of these baits, just head over to www.westiesangling.co.uk. If you do want to support the channel, it's really appreciated, isn't it, Dad?
It certainly is.
So if you do want to try them, that's where you need to go. I'll put a link in the description as always as well. So I'm just going to stick some water in here, and we're going to soak these pellets for the method feeder. So I usually say 1 to 2 minutes is absolutely perfect for these pellets. Somewhere between that. So what are we using on the hook? Well, on the Korum Floating Feeder, I have got a band attached to it, but I will also be putting bait directly onto the hook. So I've got some sweet corn, and I've also got some bigger pellets. So I've got some 6mm Robin Reds there, and I've got some 6mm Aquastim F1 Supreme sweet fish meal pellets there. That's what we're going to be using on the hook. Now you can put 2mm pellets in this Korum Floating Feeder, so I'll be swapping between ground bait and 2mm. What I found worked best last time is starting off with the 2mm, get the fish competing for them loose offerings that are falling off the feeder. Now we're not bothered if the loose offerings fall off the feeder and float down through the layers, because we're going to have our method feeder fishing underneath it. So the carp are going to be on the bottom potentially and coming up to the top as well. So we're going to get that, we're going to get the swim stimulated, and hopefully this is going to be a really good technique. Do you think it's going to work, Dan?
Yeah.
Bit of an over-under technique.
I think so. I don't see why not.
So
certainly today they're going to be up at water, I think.
Yeah. So I've got 2 last final hook baits that I'll be using that worked really well for me doing this on the last session. I've also got the Westies Wafters, pineapple, and the original F1 Sweet, which again are a sweet pink fish meal based wafter. And I'm really going to put some smell out there today. I've got potent coca scope glazes and also potent sweet candy as well to try. And I don't think you tried the sweet candy yet, have you, Dad?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Dad. Just take the lid off that and give it a smell. Tell us what you think. I've got him kneeling on my own hooking mat to save his old knees. What does it smell like?
A bit like a tutti frutti type.
Now, I'm not going to tell you the balance of the combination, but there's a specific combination in there of Scopex, fenugreek, and also banana. So they're the main flavours in that, and some betaine. So there you go. That's the combo on that. Right, folks, so that's actually stiffened up a bit. We need to add some more water to that now. What we can do is use this pellet water, because they're going to be about right now. So let's take that out of there, and we'll add this in, the juices from them pellets. It's really hard to keep it in that slurry consistency. It is going to be in this weather today. It's going to be a scorcher today, isn't it, Dad?
Yeah, it is. A bit too hot.
Probably for fishing. We're out here, we're giving it a go, aren't we, Dad?
Yeah, it's better than being stuck in.
It is. But hopefully they're up in the water and they're going to be sucking up this slurry. And all you do is you take your feeder come down a touch, Dad. Let's you take your feeder here and you fill it with that slurry. Like baby food, that. Don't put it in too tight, don't pack it in, and there you go. That's going to seep out of there. And what I'm probably going to do, as I've said to you, is inject it with glaze as well, just to get the fish homing in on that. Now, what I found worked best in the last video, if you haven't already seen it, is not ruining my wafters with all my sludgy hands, but is banding the wafter to the shank of the hook. Now, I've actually made the hair on these hook lengths very tight to the shank of the hook. You probably won't quite be able to see it on the GoPro, it's not good at close-ups, but yeah, I've made it really tight to the shank of the hook, and if we wanted it even tighter, I can actually just hook that band through the wafter like that, and that's just going to give us our best chance at nailing them. See that? That's what I'm going to do. But that's that ready to fish. Right, let's get these rods out because they're not going to catch fish stud here, are they? Probably need to put the method feeder out first. I'm going to keep these baits covered so they don't dry out. So let's put, I'm going to really load this up on the first cast, folks. Like really load it up. I'm going to get some proper bait out there. Look at that. And I'm also going to glug it up with my glaze. And I'm not going to fish far out at all. I've seen tons of bubbles coming up just out from here. But we need to be far enough out that the carp feel confident feeding. I reckon there. It's going to be right, that. Now, with the floating feeder, I'm going to set my bait runner quite firm because I want that resistance there. I want the fish having to fight against it. And then we need to go over the top of where I cast that. And there's absolutely tons of bubbles coming up out there already. It's a great sign. Again, underarm. Spot on. And there you go, you can see it floating there. And when we get a take on that, it's a proper bust up. You'll see it on the surface. I'm going to watch it as well so I can get straight on it if need be. Let's ping some pellets over. It's going to be a very active way of fishing this today, but my dad's had a couple of fish, so I'm pretty confident they're on the feed. I'm going to see if I can get them feeding up in the water. Now, it might be a little bit later on before they do. Pinging 4 or 5 pellets out every cast, or maybe every 10-15 minutes. And I'm not bothered about them sinking because our method feeder's underneath. And them ducks ain't going to do anything because they can't get to my hook bait. It's right underneath that feeder. What a brilliant technique. Defeated the wildfowl, and also I reckon I'm going to pop some sweet corn out as well. It's low feed. And it's the perfect distance away to be able to ping that sweet corn out. Now, for the first few times, I'm going to have to recast this quite often. They're coming up on the top there already, look. And I don't actually think I should really put my bobbin on, because it's just going to drag the feeder. As soon as they stop bumping it and swirling up for it, you need to be recasting it with more slurry, and that's how you're going to get them competing. So, first cast, let's see if the stuff's come out. Yeah, our slurry has come out of there. Let's put some groundbait slurry in. That's so bad. I'm going to put some around it as well. You need a towel when you're doing this, folks. That's 100%. Always back in the same spot if you can. Let's get them coming up in the water. They definitely have been coming up in the water. And as I said to you, I did find the wafter best, but I will try corn, because like I said, I'm pinging corn out. But the good thing about this technique is you don't really need to worry about the method feeder until it rips off. Yeah, all right, recast it every now and again, but you're mostly just feeding up around. Yeah, of course. You see, it's all come out there. I'm going to put some pellets in a bit firmer this time. Just try and keep them in the feeder a bit longer. It can take a little bit of time before you get a first bite on this Korum feeder, so don't be disheartened if you don't get a fish straight away. It's not how it works really. But once you get them on it, they're on it. And as you can see, this rig's very tangle free. Look, they're hammering it straight away. They're on that now. They're nudging the feeder. Surely that's going to go off soon. You shouldn't need me to tell you, chaps, but quick word of warning, if you're fishing in really hot temperatures like this, get some sun cream on. I need to make some Westies Angling vests, don't I? Get the Westies Angling mankinis on order on the bank. What do we think? Will cause a stir. Will cause a movement amongst the angling community. Camo ones. Camo mankinis. I'm watching my feeder, it's drifting left slightly, which is fine, it is going to drift. But like I said, really active way of fishing. God, I'm sweating. You probably can't see it on the camera, but I'm absolutely soaked already. Black's probably not the best colour to be wearing, and this GoPro strap's very uncomfortable. Things I do for YouTube, eh? It can actually be quite a frustrating way of fishing this as well, folks, because you can literally see them attacking the feeder but leaving the hook bait. And it's probably only hanging that far underneath it. I wouldn't like to shorten it up anymore anyway. Right, I think it's time to get some more slurry out there. The carp are starting to cruise now. I can see them a bit further towards the back. There's a carp just knocked it, I think, and it started to drift. The carp are definitely moving about on top now. It's a good sign, that's what we want. We want them cruising around, looking for stuff on the surface or just under the surface, like we're fishing. Have I got one of them Korum feeders for you, Dad? I'm still deciding how much to charge you for it, Dad.
Knock it off your day ticket.
I'm not sure, Dad, that you fully understand what a rare what a rare commodity those are. There's none in the country.
When I lose it all.
Yeah, you'll need. We're not talking again if you lose it.
I think this is what I'll be able to hook properly.
Lovely tench that, Dad. On the method feeder down the edge.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I know it's been a slow start and we've not had anything yet. At least my dad's caught a couple of fish on the method feeder, but it's gone. That was a better fish. Pulled it right under. It's not hooked though, so it still must have been like a slightly bigger hide or something like that. If that was a carp, that would have been nailed. I think this is a very carp dominated tactic, this. You will get other fish on it, don't get me wrong, but it's more geared up for the carp, definitely. Well, as I was saying, if you are enjoying the video, please hit that subscribe button. That's the best thing that you can do to support the channel. It means a lot to me and it means a lot to my dad. and it allows us to come out and do videos like this for you. But really tough conditions today, ultra hot. These are the worst conditions that you can fish in, 100%. The best time of day to be fishing in these conditions is late afternoon, but my dad doesn't really like doing afternoon sessions, and he fancied coming down to High Hayes this morning, so that's what we've done. And this is something that I wanted to try, this technique, and practice. So that's what we're doing. And if you've got any questions about anything that I've done today, any questions about the baits, any questions about the techniques or anything, please don't hesitate to drop a comment in the comment section. And if you want to, give us a follow on the Westies Angling Instagram, Facebook or TikTok as well. We're on all social media platforms. But nice chilled days fishing today. Hopefully I can actually get a fish at some point. I think it's going to be probably into afternoon before they start switching on, and then I think we'll absolutely clean up. We'll see though. We're in, folks, on the Korum Floating Feeder. I cast that a bit further towards that aerator line this time. I think this is a good carp. It's coming in towards me. Oh my god, it feels like a... I don't think this is walking up yet. Yeah, it feels really heavy. It's fighting right here at my feet. It comes straight in to there and started fighting. Well, I knew I'd get one at some point today on this Dad, honestly. Well done. Here we go. Like I said, they don't get caught often here at High Hayes, so they're all in pristine condition. Just takes a little bit of patience to start with, folks. You just need to get them competing, and the chances are they'll be ready for it now. Well, there you go, folks. That just shows you that you can catch even in the toughest conditions on that Korum Floating Feeder. Like you said, Dad, they're really pristine condition, aren't they?
Yeah, nice long fish, and they don't fight hard.
There's no bugger ever catches them. Spot on. Right, let's see if I can get another one on it. Just swapped onto the original salmon pink. I think Wafters, as I've said in the last video, they are better because the carp can suck them right into their mouths, and you get a better hook hold, I reckon. Stops them spitting it as easy. But banded to the shank, not her rigged. And I did something slightly different that time. I did layers. So I did sloppy mix, some pellets, and then sloppy mix. And that slows the breakdown without everything sticking in the feeder. Injected it with some glaze. Let's see if I can get it that far out again without it going under the aerator line. That'll do us, folks, that'll do us. Once you get them feeding, it's just a sit and wait tactic, the same as a method feeder. But it's that initial work that you have to put in to get them competing. Oh my god. That absolutely bolted off with that feeder. Made a right crack on the water's surface. Oh, Dad, it's a ghosty. It's a ghosty. Lovely one. I'm that confident in this Korum feeder, folks. I moved my other rod out of the way down the margin, but that was such a violent take. This is a really bonny fish. Sit there. Look at this fish, folks. Really long ghosty. Absolute beauty. Might have a couple of pictures with this one. Really nice fish. Not often you catch ghosties, is it? What a beauty. They're always up in the water, but now we've got a technique where we can get them and abide by the fishery rules. Beautiful fish. Amazing. What a technique. This is my dad's first fish on the Korum Floating Feeder, and it's a really nice common. Really nice common. Yeah, Dad, don't need to net it. There we go. My dad's first fish on the Korum Floating Feeder. Running out of ground bait, I'll have to mix some more. And it doesn't always go straight away. Sometimes you've got to leave it a bit. That was probably a couple of minutes. Hopefully get something bigger. Some absolutely stonking fish here at High Haze. Well into the 20s. And I'm fishing strong, so hopefully I'd get them. Might have a fish on the method feeder here. Yeah, I do. Oh, it's come off. Little hide. Might be a crucian this, folks, down the margin. Oh, jumping about. Nice little fish on the Westies wafter. Look at that. Love them, great. I can literally see all the carp cruising around on the other side of that aerator line. But that's always the way. It's not making me think, oh, I should have fished at the end of the causeway today. What it's making me think is the carp just push back away from you no matter where you are. So if we were fishing over there, the carp would be over here if there was nobody here. Do you know what I mean? That's just the way it works. And it's coming up to midday now, so the sun's brightest and the carp are the least active, I've always found. It's really frustrating because I've cast it right in amongst them there, but it's gently drifting this way. There's ever so slightly a breeze. So you get it in the perfect position and it starts to move away from the carp. And not a lot you can do about that, but they're just literally cruising around the aerator line. Definitely feeding though. Fella who's fishing to the reeds down there in the middle, he's had a few. My dad reckons he's fishing like carp methods. So they're obviously coming out on the bottom as well. My method feed has been really quiet over this way. Just bumping off the feeder, I think. In the net. I think that's definitely a double, don't you? Yeah. Lovely fish, that, Dad. Not filmed everything today, but my dad's had 4 carp, I've had 4 carp on them. Filmed the biggest. I've had 1 crucian on the method feeder, that's it. I'll recast it actually. Why are all these carp on the top on your side? Hammering this feeder. Ah, bleeding horsefly. Oh my god. It's like a 2-ton unit. Let's get that in the net. That's a huge fish, Dad. Oh, no, it's just really deceptive. It's just really short. Oh no, it's a big fish, that. Ooh. Oh my god. Because it's hot weather, it's keeping it cool. You need to put some carp care on that wound on the side of it. Look at that weird looking thing. It's an absolute beast, that though. I think we should weigh it, Dad. I think it's...
Yeah, it's not that heavy. Not as heavy as that last one.
It looks bigger than it is then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Beauty. Just putting some carp care in that wound. Well, this is definitely the most carp we've ever had out of High Haze in one day. Amazing. Absolutely amazing technique for this fishery, and I'm sure many others as well that fish a lot like this. What's this? Oh, it's another crucian. Got all the crucians on my side, only a small one. My dad's catching absolute monsters and I'm having these. Look at that, lovely little crucian. There's a ghost here moving in on the feeder. It's a big ghost of that as well. It's just past the feeder. Oh, my net handle's red hot. Yeah, usual high haze F1 that. But I'm more excited about this ghosty that's in and around the floating feeder. Well, it's time to mix up some more ground bait. Well, I'm into a fish over by that tree. Absolutely shot off. A little ghosty, I think. Oh, come on, come on. Need to keep an eye on that floating feeder because they're absolutely hammering it over there. Big ghostie's coming up. Got it. Really explosive bites when you get them on that Korum feeder. Got a big ghosty on, Dad. Oh, it's got me in the reeds. Oh no!
Does it go? Pinged out. Did it get you in reeds?
Gutted, folks. Pinged out in the reeds. I was concentrating on getting the camera rolling. Absolutely so gutted I lost that. It's a fancy goldfish, I think, Dad. Is it? Got a long tail?
It's got a crooked tail.
Oh, right. Oh, it's a F1. Nice fish. We've had quite a few.
Nice colour.
Nice colour, yeah. It's still a nice catching them off on that feeder.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Something different. Another crucian. Oh, acrobatic. My third crucian today, that. This on the floating feeder?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a violent head shake. Here he is, the man of the moment. Still deciding how much to charge you for that floating feeder.
So you take it out of the
Well, what about the bait? What about the bait that you're using?
I've probably bought that bait several times over.
Yeah, that's true. Oh,
I might have to bring that rod in there. Forgetting that it's not got a edge in it.
oh, it looks like a good fish. Might be the biggest at day, that actually. That's it. Keep it out of water. Got it. Got it. Look at the length on this fish, folks. That's as big as his mat is. Width for your hand, that, or bigger. What are you giving that one, Dad? £12? It must be. It's a long ass fish, that, Dad. Too hot to be keeping them out of water long in this weather.
Big fish, that.
Might have a little bit of koi in it, this one. It's very orange. Really nice fish. Like a really orangey colour. Got some lovely colours in it, this one. It's like an orangey colour. It's hard to see on the GoPro.
Koi, isn't it?
Yeah. Got something in it. Well folks, we're going to call it a day soon and get packed up, but we've had a decent little session today between us, haven't we, Dad?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it this morning. It's been a good session, very good session.
What do you think of the new Korum feeders?
I'm impressed with them. They've worked well for us.
They really have, and there's something that is literally different, and there's not many innovations out there where I feel I'm really impressed by or I get excited by, but I've fished using them twice now and I've had carp both times, but they're absolutely ideal for fisheries like this, aren't they, Dad?
Yeah, they are, because we know when it gets warm here at IAs, the fish are up on the surface, and it allows you to fish close to the surface within the rules.
Yeah.
Because there's no surface fishing allowed. So you're fishing 6 inches to 12 inches under the water.
Yep.
And it's ideal and it's legal.
Yeah, and you can introduce bait there as well. All right, you can ping pellets over the top of a pellet wagger and all this, but this is like sloppy ground bait mix going out. It's essentially like fishing a zig, but from the opposite way around. And with that, all the faff. It's a really easy setup. Anybody will be able to do it. But like you said before, it's just another string to our bow for fisheries like this.
Yeah, it is. You know, you wouldn't use it every time you came out.
No.
But on a warm day like this,
Yeah,
it's perfect. And we've definitely caught a few carp this morning that we would not have caught just fishing the method feeder.
100%. They're usually bigger, better quality, better stamped fish, aren't they? The ones that are cruising round on the top.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
more wary fish as well. But really enjoyed today's session. We've had some nice carp. We've had a little bit of a mix of species as well. So I just want to say thanks very much for watching, folks. We'll see you in the next Westies Angling. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and check out the website as well if you want to support the channel.
Thank you.